It is my singular honor and privilege to present the 2021 budget. The damage visited upon us by COVID-19 runs deep, and we share in the collective pain of many South Africans who have lost their jobs.
Dimalang Sambonani, hello South Africa. A very warm welcome to Expressions. Today we're putting a very special spotlight on the Budget Speech Competition 2021. I'm your host, Jacqueline Mapala.
And I'm your host, Mqolisi Masango. As you can see, we're still keeping safe and, of course, wearing our masks. But we continue to, of course, touch base with very important conversations. We are speaking to young people and basically wanting to find out, namhlanje, are young people really involved in important conversations, especially Makfiga Indwene Mali. Hot off the heels of the budget speech for this year by the Finance Minister, Expressions have endeavored to go across the country to find out from these young, bright minds. Have a look at this very first insert. Since you know us as your #1 youth current affairs show, we are now at the Nelson Mandela University in Port Elizabeth, where we're catching up with one of the finalists of the Nedbank Budget Speech Competition, Ndibuo Maranga. Chats to us about what inspired his essay, and of course he also is going to be speaking to us about what he's expecting from the budget speech, because we encourage young people who are part of the public discourse. Let's go meet him. So let's speak about your essay, my brother. You're one of the finalists, and you chose to write an essay on a subject, a hot potato, if you may call it that. Speak to us about what went into you selecting that particular topic, and why did you think it would be relevant at this point in time?
Okay, so unfortunately I don't get to choose the topic myself. So what Nedbank does is that they give people a list of topics. So they'll have a topic for undergrad and postgrad. And for 2020, the topic was actually land expropriation without compensation. The question was whether a land expropriation without compensation will cause economic growth or will cause it to falter. My view was a contrary one. I decided to say it actually will cause economic growth. And fortunately for me, it's a topic that I've always had an interest in. I've been involved in student accommodation, and so that space comes with the land question as well, because most of the time when you speak about student accommodation, you are mostly worried about where to locate it. So my whole essay focused on tying collateral, credit and money all together, and saying that by keeping the current structure, which is sort of monopolistic, by keeping the current structure, you are basically keeping people away from money. And you can't have an active economy where a majority of the citizens don't have access to money.
Speak to me about why do you think it's important that we have young people who are involved in issues such as these?
I think it's important as young people to bring forth our ideas, because if no one comes out with these new ideas, then we end up developing in a path that is not ideal for the people who are coming along.
What are the plans for the future?
This year, my main focus is to get good marks. Like, my main focus, honestly, I don't even want to, I have a 5-year plan, I have a 10-year plan, but my main plan this year, do my best for my coursework, and hopefully that can help me secure the next chapter.
Okay, in the quest to catch up with the Nedbank Budget Speech finalist, our next stop takes us to the University of Forte in the Eastern Cape. Decent Chisego now speaks to us. He's one of the finalists in the Nedbank Budget Speech Competition. Great to have you. I just want you to take our viewers into your confidence and speak to us about just basically what goes on when you think about such mind-blowing ideas.
I started by looking at the general effect of land expropriation without compensation on the economy. So when we are expropriating the land equitably, we mean that the land that is owned as for now, that is owned by the commercial farmers, that is white farmers, should be, when the government like expropriating that land, they should also involve the black farmers, and also they should also involve the white farmers, and that should be 50-50.
So what do you plan on doing if you win the competition?
If I win competition, I'm planning to do my masters.
This whole competition, I think, is a way of instilling values on young South Africans to say that, you know what, if you can be part of the public discourse, you can certainly make a difference and make a change. Why do you think it's important for young people to be involved?
I think it's very important for young people because it opens the opportunities, and it also gives them a chance to have a say about, let's say, a macroeconomic issue. Because the future lies in our hands as young people. So we should be innovative, should be creative. We should always seek for the way forward. We shouldn't be stuck, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's the best, the best thing for young people to be creative and to find the opportunities.
So our next stop takes us to the Rhodes University in Grahamstown, Eastern Cape, where we meet up with Claire McCann, one of the finalists in the Nedbank budget speech competition. Thank you for your time and welcome to Expressions.
Thank you very much for having me today.
It's great to have you. Now, of course, I know some of the things that you are most passionate about is giving back to the community. Talk to us about that.
I truly believe in, if you are to be an active student, you need to be an active citizen as well. We are in such a privileged space at Rhodes University, and I think a lot of what makes a good education is to be able to engage beyond the four walls of a classroom and actually learn practically and go out into the field.
Speak to me about the thought process that went into formulating that watertight essay that got you into the finals.
Thank you. As a student studying from the Eastern Cape, what are the important economic issues surrounding me? So I thought a lot around unemployment, youth unemployment in particular, the need for economic growth, and what the role of the central bank is in terms of bringing about investment and growth and how we could enable that. So I explored, how do we create a more comprehensive macroeconomic policy? For me, that means bringing in more conversation between government fiscal policy and the central bank's monetary policy, as well as looking at things like employment targeting as a primary framework, maybe with inflation targeting as a secondary framework, or exchange rates as was a secondary framework.
So, one moment you are writing an essay, and at the next moment you're a finalist in the Nedbank budget speech competition.
I couldn't believe it at first. There was first the semi-final round, which we heard of at the end of November, and in December we got the email around the finalist round. And we've just heard this last week that our finalist interviews will be coming up soon.
Yeah, so you ready for that?
I hope so.
Absolutely. Now, we are seeing a wave of young people who are coming out to be, quite vocal about what they want to see happening in the country. How do you think we would be able to bridge the gap, between both the young and old in the country?
So I think ultimately we need platforms where young people's voices can be heard in an official space. So the budget speech competition allows that so nicely. It provides us with a space to engage with other young people, but also to engage with leaders of industry, policymakers.
I'd like to know from you, what would your next plan be? What moving forward?
To maybe further my studies, maybe a doctorate would be down the line then. And I ultimately hope to become a researcher interested in economic justice.
Yeah.
So that might just pave the way for me.
Girl power!
Are young, talented economic and financial students able to be part of a national debate around crucial issues? Well, that's the poll question that we're asking you today. Make sure that you are part of this conversation. You are watching Expressions. We'll be back right after this.
Welcome back. You're still watching Expressions, and we continue to have important conversations with young people and their involvement in important issues such as that of the budget. So hot off the heels of the budget speech of this year by the Finance Minister, we continue to find out from young people what they think. Did the Finance Minister touch on some of the issues that are closest to their heart? Let's find out in the next insert. Jax, take it away.
Now we're on location in Ilovo. Now we're going to be speaking to Jamie. Now Jamie is a very special individual because in 2017 he actually won in the postgraduate competition. We just wanted to know, how has this budget speech changed your life?
I think the one thing it's taught me is how many different areas that economics applies to. My budget speech essay was on monetary policy, and the power of my degree in economics has shown me that I can use that in a wide variety of topics beyond that. So I think it's just such an important and powerful toolkit that a lot of economics students, especially at the undergrad level, don't realize.
Again, give us a nice overview of where you are right now.
I've been working at Genesis Analytics, which is Africa's largest economics consulting firm, for the last 3 years. I've been heading up for the last year the applied behavioral economics team, as I mentioned, so working as a behavioral economist. And behavioral economics is about the intersection of psychology and economics and how we can use those insights to change people's behavior for the better.
Why is it important for individuals such as yourself to sort of be part and at least contribute to the mainstream discourse around issues facing South Africa?
I think in general, South Africa is not, the way that public discourse works is it's a lot more around politics and not a lot around policy. So if you look at the recent US elections, for example, a lot of the debate that goes on TVs, I mean, South Africa doesn't even have televised political debates, but those debates in the US are all around policy. And so the public discourse has a good sense of what those issues are. Although it's a very divided along certain issues, everyone knows what those issues are. And I think that's something that economists on the whole can contribute to the public, is familiarizing everyone with these issues. What are those issues? What are the different sides of those issues? And I think the more people that take up economics and finance, the more they're able to contribute to that public debate.
And now, I mean, what does the future look like? I mean, you won this in 2017, you're doing extremely well right now. I mean, what can we expect from you?
I'm now actually moving on to work in the behavioral nudge unit at Standard Bank. So I'll be working as a behavioral economist, as a regional manager. Something I've always been passionate about is not just South Africa, but looking at the whole African context. Something I wrote my master's thesis on, something I've been passionate about for a very long time.
So Jamie, we want to know, how much did you get in terms of your prize? But most importantly, what did you do with the money?
So I won a very generous 150,000 Rand, which was, and I remember getting a big fat check on the day. So I was a bit starstruck in the moment, but like any good economist, I stuck it straight away into a savings account, and it is staying there.
Oh, wow! So now my second very talented young person is Ukailishe. Now Ukailishe is a very special young person because he won the undergrad category in the budget speech. Now we're going to be talking to him to find out how did this budget speech change his life, most importantly, and where is he now. Ukailishe, I mean, you won in 2017 in the undergrad category. Tell us a little bit, the topic of what was it?
So the topic, we're tasked to write about the economic and fiscal costs of corruption. So I divided into two my research paper. It was the economic and the fiscal cost. Under economic cost, I covered investments or disinvestments. So there's vast empirical evidence which shows that the more a country is corrupt, the lesser investors or other countries tend to invest in the country. Many major companies withdraw the investment or park the investment. So it shows the negative impact corruption has on investments. The other one is poor service delivery.
Mm-hmm. And you know, Kaito, we want to take you back to that moment where they made the announcement. So, you know, other names, but number 3, number 2. Number is number 1. Did you expect your name to be announced?
I wasn't really expecting, largely because I was from an underdog university, if I may say, the University of Zululand, and we're with big universities, VETS, UJ, UCT. So it was really a big surprise for me.
And how did your family feel? How did your friends feel? How did your colleagues, your student peers feel about it?
My family was very overjoyed, especially because the following morning we were live on television. So they told everybody in the community, and at the University of Zululand it became something big, such that there was a function after that.
And now, where are you? What are you currently doing? It's been what, almost 4 years now?
Yes, yeah. Yes. In 2019 I completed my honors. Then last year I was with Standard Bank as a graduate. Then this year I decided to go back to university to pursue my master's full time.
So where will we see you in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, I think we're going to see me as a private sector economist covering South African global economic trends.
We continue with this also important conversation after the break. You are watching Expressions. Stay with us.
Welcome back. You're still watching Expressions, your #1 youth current affairs show. We continue now to hear from the various stakeholders involved in the conversations that we were having today, as well as some of the young bright minds who came out tops as winners for this budget speech competition. Have a look.
The moment that we've all been waiting for, and our undergraduate winner for 2020 with a grand prize of a whopping 60,000 rands is Ndibuwa Marange, Nelson Mandela University.
And now for the postgraduate winner for 2020 with a grand prize of 150,000 rands is, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, Felicia Mashimbwe from the University of Johannesburg. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling very excited. I think it's still all unbelievable. I'm still, slowly taking it in. Everything just feels surreal.
Speak to me about what was your motivation?
So I feel like as a young person, it's very important to engage in important issues that affect the economy of this country, that affect millions of lives of South Africans. And that on its own was enough motivation for me to enter. I mean, my topic was around the South African Reserve Bank, whether it should be nationalized or not, and whether the mandate of the Reserve Bank should actually change. I mean, if you look at the South African Reserve Bank, it's a very important financial institution to the financial stability of South Africa, which actually impacts the health of the economy, which impacts the lives of South Africans. So I felt that it was important for me to have a say.
We have young people right now who are watching the show and are thinking, ish, I might just give this a try this year because entries are open. What would you say to them?
Well, I'd say that they should enter, and because the experience is amazing. No one can ever take that from you. You get to meet people from the National Treasury, economists from all spheres of South Africa, different industries, and you get to actually learn a lot. You get to meet young, smart people like you. You should definitely enter. Just take the leap of faith, sit down, and actually write the essay.
Now I'd like to know from you, what's the way forward for Felicia? What are you going to do with the check?
That's a very good question, and I think that's $1 million question that everyone's asking me. I'm passionate about education, so I'm the eldest child. I have 2 siblings, a little sister who's actually at the University of Pretoria. She's studying law. She's doing a final year, so I'm definitely going to spend that money on her education. And I have a younger brother who goes to Stark College. He's only in grade 10, so I'll spend that money on him as well. And I think I would just like to, just do something small for my parents, just to say thank you so much for being so amazing.
The 49th edition of the Old Mutual Nedbank Budget Speech Competition was nothing short of spectacular. Speak to us about why this competition is so important.
Well, the competition is always exciting for us. We get to interact with the young, bright minds in this country, and that really gives us confidence that, the youth, who, by the way, account for a third of the population, are really involved in what should really be done in South Africa in terms of sorting out the economy, for instance.
And I know that you guys are gearing up for the 50th edition coming up this year. And a little birdie might have told me that you're one of the judges in the competition. Maybe for prospective entrants for this year, what is going to make them stand out?
Well, we are excited about the 50th edition, of course, because, over the years, we've gained experience, as to how to run it. The quality of the entries every year tends to raise the bar. And as a result of that, the competition is continuously improving. And this year, we will come up with exciting topics, issues that people are really debating about right now. And we look forward to those entries for this year. For me, as an experienced professional, interacting with these young, bright minds really gives me a different perspective. I would rather say a detailed perspective of the issues in South Africa, number one, and secondly, how those should be tackled. The youth are really participating in shaping their own future, in shaping the future of this country. And that is what excites me about this competition.
What are the prospects for some of the winners as well as the finalists in this competition? Is this the end of the road for them, or it goes way beyond a budget speech competition?
One of the finalists of the 2012 competition is now a director at National Treasury and has actually been put forward as a finalist for the 2021 Fulbright Scholarship. This shows the extent to which the competition can really open doors, both in policy making, i.e. government, and also in industry.
What would you like to say to young people watching at home? Some of them even thinking, hey, I might actually just give this competition a try this year.
Go for it. Give it your best, enjoy the experience. If you make it to the finals, it will even add, to your credentials. You'll probably, barring COVID, you'll probably be at the budget speech next year. You'll interact with senior government officials in National Treasury. You will interact with the bosses of Nedbank and Old Mutual, and you will get to feel that vibe at the time of the budget speech. So give it your best.
So, we've come to the end of today's episode. With the pandemic that we face, I think it was very interesting, obviously, to just hear how young people are looking at issues around land and obviously around the Reserve Bank. So I was absolutely just really there's so much food for thought, Miko. That's all I think I can say around today's episode, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Ajax. And I think for me, it was just listening to them speaking about the finance minister and whether or not he managed to touch on some of the issues that they feel most passionate about. So thank you to them for that, and of course, well done and congratulations to the winners as well. So Mundomusha, thank you so much for your participation as well on this conversation and all of our social media platforms. From all of us here at Expressions, thank you so much for watching. Till next time, Salegahle.
You done to me.